If you already got the basic stitches, now you can crochet yourself your first hexagon cardigan with the basic shape. We are not gonna do anything complicated, no decreasing here at the sleeves, just two hexagon shapes. And I made them two different colors and stripes because I've been seeing that online and I wanted to put my own spin on that. I'll show you a couple of ways to connect the seams, which will produce a different look. So depending on what you want, you'll see three ways of connecting your sleeves here at the top and the back of the cardigan. That seam over here. This is a step-by-step tutorial. It's beginner friendly. There are no confusing stitches. And let's get started. I'm using 4/8 yarn and 5.5 crochet hook. If you have a smaller hook, it means that you have 18 yarn. And to cut your yarn, you can get some snips and you need stitch markers. How big should be a hexagon cardigan? Actually, in my crochet journal here, I have a recommended measurements for sweaters or cardigans. It doesn't matter, it's a sweater type of garment. So I have a bust of 50 inches, so I'm here between XL and double XL, and my upper arm is about 16.5, 17 inches, but I like it a little bit wider, so I go towards 18. But because this is a hexagon, and here I put my dimensions over here, so I have about 18 because I want it loose. But since it's gonna be a hexagon, and that this hexagon will grow equally on all 6 sides, so no matter how big I go, I have to pick a side so this is my one hexagon, and this will be the second hexagon here. So one of the hexagons needs to be 25 inches wide, right? Because that's how it's gonna grow. We are starting from here and it grows equally everywhere. So when I have two pieces together, I'll have 50 inches, and I'm happy with that. But it means that my arms will be also 25, right? No, there's going to be half of 25. So it's going to be 12.5 inches here wide, or 25 all around. And that's okay. I'm still going for a white kimono style of sleeves, so that will be okay. I'm happy with that. We are not going to decrease. We are not going to do this. So if you want to do this side, watch this video over here. It's going to show you how to decrease the stitches, but this is just a plain hexicardi for absolute beginners. You can make it any size. Okay, so here it is. This is my sleeve, and this is half, or this is the 1/4 of the whole circumference of the bust area, but this is your half of your piece. So measure your fullest circumference, and as you can see here is about 12.5 inches from the edge over here, and this is also the same from top to bottom. Here the underarm is also 12.5. When you open it, it's gonna be all the way 25, and 25 and 25 will give me 50 inches of bust circumference over here. So you decide how big you want to make your cardigan. it really, there is no number of stitches, there's no set number of rows you have to go. But if you want some kind of guidance, or you make it for a friend or family, you can definitely look here in the chart and decide the size you want to do, starting from babies to all the way to 4XL. But it really doesn't matter, because you can just look at the bust circumference and then just ignore the rest of it. And of course, you can purchase this journal from the link below. I designed it and I made it. And of course, you can match them with crochet hook and snips and stitch markers for that here. So let's start crocheting. I'm starting with a slip knot here, and I grabbed the green color because I don't think the black will look very easy to follow. And we'll chain 6, and then we'll go back to the first one and draw a slip stitch here so we can close that ring. You can start with a magic ring if you want, but we'll make it easier. And then chain 2, and then 2 double crochets into the ring. And then we have a 3 double crochets, because we're gonna count the first chain as a double crochet, then chain 2, and then 3 more double crochets, and then we'll repeat chain 2 and 3 double crochets for a total of 6 clusters. Since we're gonna have 6 corners, we're gonna need 6 clusters, and we actually want those spaces here. We are interested in creating 6 spaces for our 6 corners. And if you are struggling with those corners, make sure that you use some kind of like stitch marker to count those. So you can keep one here and then one here. And if you have stitch markers that are different colors, now it's the time, maybe color code them 2 by 2, and then into the next chain space you put one of the colors. Even though we put here 2 pinks, here we're gonna put only 1 color, and then we'll do 3 double crochets, chain 2, move your stitches so you have more space. And it's okay if your work starts to curl. It's gonna curl a lot because of those hexagon pattern we are working on. So the next color should be the last color you have, and then you make the chain space. If you order your stitch markers just like this, it's gonna be so easy to fold your hexagon cardigan. So over here you're gonna put the same color as the next one. There'll be 2 colors next to each other. However, this last color will be by itself. So we're gonna create that chain space. We're gonna go back into that first chain we made, and we decided it's gonna be a double crochet, and we slip stitch in that, and then you put your last marker into that chain space. And here, that's how we have them. And when it's time to fold, it's gonna be so easy to fold. So with our live stitch here, we're gonna slip stitch into the next stitch and then slip stitch into the chain space. So this way we made our working yarn travel all the way into the space here. In this row, in each chain space, we're gonna be putting 2 granny clusters, or those 3 double crochets, counting the first chain as a double crochet. So here we're gonna have 2 double crochets, with the first one 3. We're gonna keep working those corners. We're gonna keep those corners going up, so we're gonna still have 2 chains and then another 3 double crochets here. I'll keep the stitch markers in the back so you can see better. And then over here, I will not do a chain space between the clusters because I like them to be less lacy. So just like this, I'll travel into the next chain space and do another corner. So when you have a corner, you have 3 double crochets, a chain, and 3 more double crochets, or a granny cluster, chain 2, a granny cluster. And then here we have another corner. So that's what we got so far, a corner, corner, and another corner, all the way, oops, I frogged it, I'll do it again. And I'll do this corner 5 more times till I reach again over here. I'm done with my row, and then I'll again slip stitch from that first chain into my stitch, and then going into the stitches, I'll just do slip stitches so I can move into the corner over here, just like this. And this way you can continue with each row if you don't want to change colors. However, I would like to change colors now, so I'm back here at the beginning, actually the end of the row, right? And let me finish this one. I'll slip stitch here, and then I make this loop very big, and I put my work through it, or the yarn ball, doesn't matter, and then I just tighten it. And now it's pretty secure, and then I'll grab my next color. I'll do this with each color. So here is my next color. I'll start with a slip stitch just for this row. And then I'll go into that space that's closer to my previous end. And then I'll just do a single crochet there. And then you can hide that beginning here inside the stitches. And I'll be careful with this working yarn so it doesn't get tangled. But chain 2, and then into the same spot here, we'll do 2 more double crochets, so we count it as a cluster here. And this is the space between the corners, so the corners will keep working them with 2 chains in between. However, the middle over here will be just a granny cluster. So we are back at the corner, and we'll do a granny cluster, chain 2, and then a granny cluster. We pull some yarn. Here is this corner is ready. Here is my corner, and here is the space between the previous 2 corners here. So now we are creating that granny cluster here, and then we make a corner again, and then we'll keep working at each corner and each space between the corners or the granny clusters in the next rows, just like this. And I'll be back again here. And I'm back at the beginning. Here I'll do a slip stitch, and sometimes I just go into the stitch here, sometimes under it. It really doesn't matter here. And if you continue with the same color, like I did 2 rows of the same color and then switch to a different color, I just do slip stitches into the next stitches, and then go into that space between the clusters. And then I'll chain 2, and then 2 double crochets for the cluster. And that's how we'll continue again with the corner, and into those spaces I'll put clusters. But if you are not, if you're changing colors, that's what I'll do. And that's what I did with the other colors of the hexagon. When I did that last slip stitches to close my round, I make that stitch really huge. And then either my yarn, but most of the times I do my work, I pull it through the loop, and then my 2 colors, my 2 pieces of yarn, they stay inside the loop, and this way I carry my 2 colors together. So into the next round the white will be trapped, and here the green is trapped into that stitch, and it looks neat, I think. Let me show you on my work here. That's how it looks. This is in the back, and there's less chance of your fingers getting stuck in those. And if you don't want to cut and weave all these ends, that's another way to go. And here is the front. You cannot even tell, but that's the way I do my color transitions if you want to do stripes. If not, it really doesn't matter, just skip this part. And then with the next row I did 2 rows white, 2 rows green, or 2 rows black. And then when it's time to switch the color, I just grab the color I want, in this case the green, so there's a contrast and I can show you. And into the closest spot to my transition here, that's where I go. So there's less yarn getting stuck in the back. So I'll do my granny cluster, and this is between the clusters here. I have spots here, and this is my corner. The corner is always a granny cluster chained to a granny cluster. There's nothing to worry about, and you can do even chain 1. That's fine too. If you think it's getting too loose, like my stitches are a little bit loose, that's how I crochet, I know that. And here now we have 2 spaces between the granny clusters here, in between the corners, and then we're gonna have a granny cluster here. Oops, trying to go very fast. And then here's another spot, and then we do a corner again. Need some yarn, and that's how we're gonna work this round. And the rounds after that, we're gonna be creating those spaces between the granny clusters, because we're increasing each time, and that's how it grows. And because it's a hexagon and we do the same thing over and over again, we increase equally on all sides, so this grows equally everywhere. And here how it is. If you moved your stitch markers with you, that's okay. If not, you can go put them back and you can practice folding your cardigan. I also have a very quick video for just folding the cardigans, but since we're here, this is how we're gonna fold it. You match all your stitch markers with the same color. So these 2 pinks will go with the pinks, the yellow will go with the yellow, and the blue with the blue. As long as you put them in that order, they will match. So here are the yellows, the pinks, and the blues. And that's how your cardigan starts growing. If you want to make a doll cardigan, maybe you need it this big. If you have thinner yarn, it's going to be much smaller. So for my 4-weight yarn, I did, let's see, starting here from the corner, from under the arm, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, around 2 double rounds with black, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the contrast color. So it's up to you how big you want to go or how small you want to go. And let's see how we'll now connect the sleeves. How to close the sleeves, option 1. So this is how one of the versions work, and this is without sewing. When you crochet that last round, you close the top of the sleeve. This is where your shoulder is, and all the way till the end of the sleeve here. This is crocheted as you go. But we're gonna have to have completed a couple of sides for that. So fold your work, and here it is how this is unfinished side. And then you have to look when you go this way and you come back, you can connect on this side. So it's gonna be a little bit of thinking, but it's just because I don't like sewing, like stopping and sewing. I want to do it at one go. So it means I'm gonna have to work this side and this side and this side, and when I come here, I will close my shoulder. And I want these to be open because this is my front and the back, and this is the bottom. So let's go and finish those sides before we close the shoulder. Or you can go all around and just sew them together, and I'll show the sewing part too. Check the crochet hook and the crochet journal in the description below, and make sure you grab one for you and for your friends. And I am here at the corner now. I'll do my cluster, my corner cluster, and now fold again. Fold so you have one side done and one side not done. So here. This side is not done yet. We're just going to be working at that corner because we did the sleeve here. This is our hand. We'll go into this one. The chain 1 here for the first chain. Then we're gonna do a slip stitch here. And then we're gonna chain 1 more. This will give you a little bit of a flexible opening. If it's too much, then you don't have to chain the second chain. But I do it because I want it to be loose, right? So into that corner, we're gonna have to finish the corner we started. So we're gonna do 3 double crochets here, and our corner is done. Let me pull my yarn. It's getting stuck here. And now we're gonna go into the next space. If you look at your work, now each corresponding cluster will get a cluster right across. So we made this one for this one. These two go together. Now we're gonna have to create that second cluster that's gonna match this one. And we're gonna use this space here between the clusters. And we go from the top, and you grab your yarn, and you do a slip stitch here, and then yarn over to do your cluster. And here again, we are done with the cluster. Then we're gonna have to go into the next space between the clusters. You grab your yarn, it comes from under your work, and you can do a chain here. I'm tightening that stitch, so I don't want it to be too loose, right? You don't want this here to be flappy, so you tighten that stitch. And then you do your cluster again. This is on a small scale, but imagine this being big. And again, we do the same thing. We go into the space from under the work, we grab a loop, and then we do a slip stitch and you tighten it. And then we do the last here before the corner. And then we go for one last time. Tighten that stitch, and then we are going back into the corner. And here we do the 3 double crochets. We chain 1, and then we go into the chain 2 space from the other side. We grab a slip stitch, and I chain 1 again here. And now we are working this side. So we do the corner because we still have to finish it. And we do the granny cluster here. And we just continue the regular way all the way till the beginning of the round. Mine is here. And this way we have that last row with all our stitches finished. And we are back at the beginning here. We do a slip stitch, chain 1 so you can secure that last stitch, and you can cut your yarn from here. And this is what happened now. Our sleeve and 1/2 of the cardigan is ready. Now you do the second hexagon, and you just have to connect the backs at the end. But let me show you how we can sew. When it's time to sew, I make sure I match my stitches because I'm pulling those V-stitches here at the top. So make sure when I grab the top of this stitch, I grab the top of the same stitch but on the opposite side. Or at least I'm close by. And I'm just doing a simple stitch. There are different ways of sewing, but you pick the one that you like. If you've researched and you find a different way, that works too. There's no anything special, but that stitch is fine. Just go under the stitches, these V's on top, or they look like little hearts, and just go under, making sure you grab them both and that they match on the opposite sides. There. And you leave a longer tail here at the beginning so you can close that extra gap here. So you're gonna secure that stitch just like this. So you can decide here at the end. So do not start with a knot over here because you just want to make sure it looks pretty, and then you can hide that tail a little bit better. So this is one way. Tighten it a little bit, but not too tight, but also not too loose. And you just go all the way up to that chain here, and also gently finish here so it's not too visible, that knot, and hide the tail in the stitches. And then I'll show you the third option of how to close that sleeve, which is my favorite, and it looks so pretty. So this is my favorite way of closing the sleeves of the Hexagon cardigan. This does not use yarn, we just use the stitches by themselves. So we're gonna match again stitch to stitch those top of each stitch, but we're gonna start from the chain space. So here are our chains, this chain and this chain. We're gonna be grabbing a loop from each side. We'll be grabbing only the inside of the loops. So we're gonna be grabbing those two loops only. The outside of the loops will stay. We're just gonna use the inside. So I'm starting from my right side, and then I'm picking one from the left side, that inside loop from the chain. Then I'm pulling through the right loop with the left loop. And then I'm going back to the right side. I'm pulling an inside loop from the stitch. Then I'm going to the left side and I'm pulling a loop from there and pulling through the one on my hook. Then going to the side again and then going to the opposite one and pulling a loop, all the loops, making sure they do match with each other. So we started here at the corner and we are going with each side there, pulling a loop from each side, alternating sides. This is my favorite way of closing those sleeves because usually I play yarn chicken at the end, and it's when you don't have enough yarn, that's what you do. Or if you have a gradient yarn and that last row they match, you don't want to add a third color that might not be the exact match there. And it also very pretty. I just like how it looks. It's like a little border. So we keep going. And of course, if you, I crochet pretty loosely. So these stitches for me have a lot of stretch, but depends on your crocheting also. So make sure you pay attention to that. If it doesn't look good, you don't have to do it. It's so specific sometimes what you use, depending on the style you crochet. And of course, these are just recommendations. You can make it your own. You can add your own touch, of course. So I'm gonna go back into that chain over here, and I'm not gonna go too far with the second chain because I want around the neck to have some flex here, because I don't want my neck to be too tight. However, over here we're gonna have to use a little bit of yarn to secure that stitch. So you're just gonna pick a little yarn and make a knot and just weave in that end, and that's how pretty it gets. I just love this way of finishing. And I also have another hexagon cardigan with the same finish here at the corner, but with tapered sleeve, that you can look and see how you like it, a tapered look of a sleeve. But this one will not gonna taper. It's gonna be like 3/4 of a sleeve, and it's gonna be like wide and comfy and cozy, more like a blanket. If you use a blanket yarn, it's gonna feel like a blanket. So keep that in mind, and let's do some fringe as well. So for my fringe, I cut 26 inches long strips of yarn, and this is how I make the fringe. I went through each stitch here at the edge, and then I get my crochet hook. My yarn is folded in two. I pull it through the stitch, and then I grab both of the ends and I pull through the loop and I tighten. And you can go ahead and you can twist if you want. Make sure you put a knot at the end. And the twisting is you just follow the twist of your yarn and you twist both sides the same direction. And when you let them go, they twist by themselves and you do the knot. You do the knot and then let them twist. Otherwise, they'll unravel. But with 4-weight yarn, I don't think you need to twist them. They look quite full. Otherwise, they do not look that full if you go that route. You're going to have to put more because the twisting makes two strands into one strand. So keep that in mind. When it's time to connect the backs, the two pieces actually, to make the back, I will start a little bit down the neck and I'll show you how. So the top of my sleeves I connected as I go. The back, however, I'll make with the third option with slip stitches. So I'll pick a side which depends how I want to put it. Do I want to put the stripes on the right or on the left, the white ones? So it really doesn't matter. But I will be putting them next to each other, and that's how they're gonna go. And because they're exactly the same, it doesn't matter which side you pick. So there it is. This and this. So when I start working on my neck here, connecting the back, I will line them up. And over here, I will put a little bit of a space before I start connecting them because I want my shoulders and my neckline to follow that natural curve instead of tugging around my neck. I want that shoulder to be nice and curved and sitting nicely. So I will check my chart here for the neck opening, and that's how I will guide myself. So I have here is neck length. So for mine is about 9 inches, and I will have that because we aren't going it this way, we are going down. So it's not going to be 9 inches, but it's going to be like 4. So like so, maybe a little bit less. No, 4 is good. Maybe 3. So just eyeball it here. Not too much, but not too little. So for me is like how many granny clusters here starting from the middle. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and I'll start here at that third space. So I'll mark it here and then I'll go on the opposite side and I'll also skip 3. So now I'll be picking those inside stitches there just like this and just sliding it through all the way to the bottom. Finishing that last stitch over here was so easy because I just put the fringe into that last loop and I was able to finish the end here, and this is how the back looks. I hope it shows from the black color, but that row here is very, very pretty. I love that last finish. It makes it nice. When somebody looks at you from the back, they will be impressed. I still have more fringe to add on this side, but here is the white kimono type sleeve. It's as wide as this side. This is the basic hexagon cardigan. Nothing is added. From over here, this is the base. You can modify however you want. You can add rows, you can decrease the sleeve, you can add rows to the bottom, you can add rows to the front, and you can change the colors. And this is how the back is. Here you give a little bit of a neck opening here so it's comfortable around your back. The sleeves we did as we crochet. As we go, we connected those, though the back is with slip stitches and it lays really flat. And when you steam it and when you press it a little bit, these edges, they become even more pliable. And you can put a button if you want to over here in the front, or just keep it like this. And it's a great beginner cardigan to learn some basic skills and just to learn the basic of a hexagon cardigan, and from there you can just make your own and you can modify it and make all different versions of it. Check the crochet hook and the crochet journal in the description below and make sure you grab one for you and for your friends. Make sure you subscribe and like this video.